Hi, everybody, and welcome to Chapter 1 of Inside the House of Windsor. So, I'm doing a book review. It's going to go back and it's kind of starting at the beginning of Princess Elizabeth's reign. The title of Chapter 1 is called Never Again. The Royals Confront a Post-Diana World. So I'm going to just be going over a few things. Some of these you're probably already going to know. So I'll read some excerpts, and I have to be careful because I don't want to read too much of it, and I have to kind of comment in between different things I'm reading, so it'll be a review. All right, so I'm following the fair use, fair dealing guidelines, and I'm going to get started. So I'm starting on page 7. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the King and Queen. All right, Chapter 1. The King and Queen always believed that it was the excess public attention that had promoted Edward's delusion of outsized significance, of the coddling of dangerous emotional needs. They were doubly appalled when the abdication broadcast, Edward revealed his personal feelings about Wallace to the British public. Now they're talking about the radio announcement of the abdication. The naturally reserved Queen Elizabeth, and I need to state this, because of King David or the Duke of Windsor sharing his emotional feelings during the abdication, they felt that that was very wrong and took away of the mystique of the monarchy, that they should be seen as stoic and not emotional beings. So Queen Elizabeth II was schooled to erect inflexible, lifelong barriers around her private thoughts and feelings. In the 70 years of her reign, she has never given an interview, which has only enhanced her mystique. A different monarch with more outgoing or extrovert temperament would lose the special mystery of this reticence. Lady Elizabeth Longford observed. And then I won't read this part because I've got to skip around, but it goes on to talk about an older governess that they had that they called Miss Crawford. She was one of the first people who actually wrote a book about them, and she kind of she named it The Little Princesses, and she thought it would kind of make them boost their popularity, and it was about them being in the nursery and growing up, but she was demonized and outcast by the royal family. And let's see, I was just going to tell you one little thing. She was their governess. They said at the time, our late and completely trusted governess had gone off her head. She wrote to Lady Astor. This was the Elizabeth's mother. Like, I can't believe this lady would write something about my daughters because they're in her care. So I'm going to skip that little part. Now I'm going to go to, this is about Prince Philip, when upon his suiting Queen Elizabeth and before he entered the family. All right. Under a forthright exterior, Philip was as personally guarded as his wife. His childhood was so unstable that he had learned to grow layers of emotional fortifications simply to survive. He had an uncle, King Constantine, that was forced to abdicate. Then his father, Prince Andrew, had been arrested and court-martialed during 1922. But the Queen Mother found it less endearing when considering his suitability to marry her daughter in that bloodline of the Danish ruling family. So now I'm going on to talk a little bit about Prince Philip's mother. And I know you probably know this, and this is a picture of his mother and his father and Prince Philip as a young boy. And this is his mother in later life. So when Philip was 8, his mother, Princess Alice of Battenberg, the great-granddaughter of Queen Victoria, was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and institutionalized after a series of harrowing psychiatric medical measures that rivaled the barbaric leeching of King George III. He didn't see his mother from the age of 10 until he was 16. When his favorite sister, Cecile, her husband, and their 2 young sons were killed in a plane crash, and mother and son were united at the funeral in Darmstadt. Eventually, Princess Alice invented her own religious order and wandered around the world dressed as a nun. She did a lot of good things. I think she just had a break with reality because it was so traumatic when they were exiled and having to sneak out of the country, and they had to live off of the generosity of one of their family members, and I think it just became all too much for him. So Prince Philip's father, then exiled Prince Andrew, spent the rest of his life with his mistress in Monte Carlo. I'm sorry. Only seeing his son occasionally. So after the age of 18, when the war intervened, Philip never again saw his father. While Philip was a young boy, and we know he was at the boarding school Gorgonston, where he originally sent Charles, the Spartan boarding school to which he was dispatched in Scotland, Philip literally had no idea where and with which relative he would be spending his school holidays. That's the saddest thing ever, to be such a small boy. You're sent off to boarding school, and then when everybody's going home to their families for break, you don't know which relative is going to come and claim you and who you're going to go stay with and what's going to happen. That was just a sad existence. For this man to have turned out the way he did and not carry tons of baggage, it's just amazing and shows what a strength of character he has. He's so unlike his grandson, Harry, who just doesn't have the strength or fortitude or understand what duty is. So moving on, Prince Philip's commitment to duty. Philip's ruthless royal past reinforced a conviction that the monarchy's survival is built on and bounded by a commitment to duty. It made him less than sympathetic about Princess Margaret's inconvenient love affair with the divorced, much older equerry, Group Captain Peter Townsend. Bewitching and oh so bored, Margaret was a sexy sideshow who was always catnip to the press, smoking Balkan Sobernies through a long cigarette holder and carousing at fashionable London night spots with a circle of society bucks. She was an irresistible foil to the virtuous young monarch. So she really got to have a good time. She was lucky. Queen Elizabeth always had that sense of duty and was never allowed the freedom to go out and have the kind of life experiences that Margaret did. So more about Princess Margaret. Doing the right thing for whatever motive made Margaret a romantic heroine for a while. And we all know that she ended up calling off her engagement to Mr. Townsend, and they were actually separated a few years. With Queen Elizabeth being the head of the church, it wasn't seen proper for Princess Margaret to marry a man who had been a divorcee. But the peril of celebrities is that it curdles. After the failure of her marriage to the fashionable photographer Lord Snowden, the press cast her in the royal soap opera as a spoiled palace diva who drank too much and made offensive comments. She became a reoccurring double-page spread of the wrong kind, with her very public dalliances in the Caribbean island of Mystique with Snowden's younger doppelganger, Roddy Llewellyn. The press always painted Roddy as a toy boy rather than who he truly was. He was a charming gentleman gardener who treated Margaret with the kindness she craved. Yeah, she really did, I think, love him, and he loved her. And it's also, I know I'd read in the papers not long ago that he goes back and he'd ask the Queen's permission to go and visit the area where she's been buried so he could pay his respects. So he really did love her. So going on, talking about Margaret will never have interviewed or aired her dirty laundry to the press like Diana did. Even though she did get, in the covers of papers and magazines and, being out carousing, she still never spoke out against the monarchy. She always had that sense of duty, and she understood that she had to be seen as respecting her sister's sovereignty. The embarrassments to the monarchy of her own love life were mistakes of the heart at a time when social mores outside the strictures of royal life were rapidly changing. however lurid the coverage, she would never have gone public with her unhappiness, as did Diana was to do in later years. The mystery of royalty was preserved by the maximum, never complain, never explain. So that's the end of chapter 1, and I'll get ready to do chapter 2. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.